Google just launched a big update for their smart home platform, a new AI, a new redesigned Google Home application, some new hardware like cameras and doorbells, and a new speaker, and a new service, otherwise known as a subscription. Google's one of the biggest marketing machines out there, and this is one of their biggest messages about home automation in a long time. And I've been following them as a company and what they're doing in the smart home industry. I'm not here to bash them, and you will see parts that I'm excited about, but I'm going to give you my true opinion on what they launched. Let's get it. The first announcement was really Gemini for Home, our new AI assistant. We knew this had been coming for a while. Gemini for Home is replacing the Google Assistant on existing smart displays and speakers, as well as within the Google Home app. This is a nice free upgrade for those of you who have been loyal to Google for years, and it does feel like an upgrade to me. The conversations are more natural and fluid, and every time I've used Gemini, it has been more accurate, and it's gotten me to where I want to go quicker, especially when I'm inside of the Google Home app, which you'll see more about later in today's video. I really like the use of it there. Now, unfortunately, I don't have it yet on my speakers, and I'm assuming that rollout will be a little slower, done a little more carefully. All of this is coming to you as long as you've signed up for the preview program inside of the Google Home app. But I think you need to temper your expectations. This is a preview program launch, and the full release probably won't be until the smart speaker comes next year. Google uses these previews to work out bugs. You're essentially agreeing to be a beta tester of something that is obviously a little beyond beta. You know, I've seen preview programs that feel like they go on forever. And if Google runs into big problems or finds big issues, it can be in this state for a while, or they can make changes to what they actually put out. I do think Google has good confidence that they're coming out with Gemini for Home fully in the spring of next year, and you'll see why I say that in a moment. Overall, Gemini is a definitive step in the right direction. You'll see how it's being integrated into many products and services. And you know, just having a more natural way to have a conversation with your smart home is a big deal, as it eliminates that big frustration point that we all have where we have to remember everything in our smart homes. The next big announcements were around new products. Google released a couple of new cameras and a new doorbell, and they upgraded them with 2K resolution. They also released details on their upcoming smart speaker that will be using Gemini for Home. Aside from the 2K resolution, there are some AI enhancements using Gemini, but it's important to know that some, if not most of the enhancements, will require a subscription. Some things are included on the cameras, like the 2K. For years, Google's had fantastic footage on their cameras. They had a third party come in and basically assert that they have the best footage in the industry. I think that's fairly true. Personally, when I've pointed their video doorbell at the sun, what's amazing about their product versus many others is that you can see the sun's there, but it doesn't overtake the subjects coming up to your home. I'm sure updating those cameras with 2K resolution and some other better hardware internally will help this even more. But that 2K resolution thing, first of all, a lot of cameras are 4K today. And while Google usually errs on the side of software fixing lack of hardware, I'm not so sure. There's a digital zoom feature where basically you can leave your camera always at a certain zoom levels. You don't have to constantly get into the feed and then zoom back to where you want to look. And they're giving you a new preview feature when you get notifications. So little animation, but zoomed in on the subject. Depending on whether you have the subscription that we're going to talk about in a bit, you could get a notification with an AI description of the event along with that animated preview. I worry about faraway cameras and then 2K resolution. I don't think that's going to work very well with the animated preview, but I did see a big contrast between Google's announcements and the announcements from Amazon when I attended their event. I told this story on another video that we released on the channel, but I was sitting in this demonstration and suddenly Amazon's AI told the room that, hey, deer have been detected in the backyard. And then it displayed the camera, and yep, a small herd of deer were sitting there. So their AI had recognized a very specific animal. I think they're launching an analysis being done with their cameras. Google's announcements really didn't have anything to that effect. I'm not saying this won't come later, but they kind of reaffirmed, yeah, we got people and face and motion and pets and all kinds of things, but those are kind of the things they had before. So I'd like to see them extend out, give us more of those AI routine options. Another thing that was missing from these releases. If you're someone who wants to keep the footage in your home, you're kind of worried about privacy, that's not going to happen here. No local recording options, and you're likely to end up in a subscription if you go with Google Home and their camera range. I also didn't hear things like power over Ethernet. I'm not hearing connectivity options to other platforms. None of that's kind of clear yet. And if those things didn't feel lukewarm or tepid enough, I do have to talk about something and take an issue with one of Google's announcements. They announced a new partnership with Walmart to launch an on-branded camera and video doorbell. This is part of what they called a new initiative to give you options with different form factors and different price points. So they've struck this deal. And at the same time, nowhere else in their many blog posts, nor all their social media announcements, nor all of the marketing and the materials that they sent out, nowhere have they mentioned another company or integrating with other platforms. I've seen this movie before. Many years ago, Google partnered with Lenovo and with LG and with other speaker companies to put out versions of their smart speakers or smart displays with the Google Assistant on board. There was even a pseudo operating system that they used on those, and it went through a few names. But eventually, all those partnerships died, and those products essentially went with it. It took a few years. Things held on for a little while, but eventually updates stopped, and it was obvious that those companies couldn't continue on the program or weren't profitable, or Google was just done with this part of their business. Whatever it was, it's not the first time, and I think it's not going to be the last. To me, this sends an even more alarming signal for you as a person who wants to build a smart home. Google now has preferred partners that they will strike deals with, and those partners will have better integrated features than others. Walmart's one of those. What does that say for you when you go to choose smart home lighting? Does it mean that when Google strikes a deal with GE because they're a nice big company that can afford it, that you lose out on features? Google's not saying any of this, but I think you get where I'm going. The problem in my home that kind of plays into this is that I've seen a continual degradation of integrations with the Google Home app. Govee lights are not as good in the Google Home app versus Amazon. Aqara's cameras really can't be seen in live feeds. These are good companies with really unique options in their products. And when you look at how they perform in the Google Home app, when compared with Amazon, there's all kinds of benefits to using Amazon's app. Things like routines and just the control options and video doorbells. We get many more options for communicating with people on Amazon's smart displays using third-party doorbells. Google, to me, has now signaled again that they will have a preference, and therefore you will have a preference. And no, I don't think that Matter solves all of these issues, because again, Matter has not dealt with the unique features coming in smart home products. We want to use those features, and it looks like Google is entirely reliant on Matter as well as their preferred partnerships. Today's video sponsor is Tapo and their new C615 kit, truly all in one. It's a fully wireless solar charging 2K 360-degree pan and tilt camera with a built-in 800 lumen motion activated floodlight. And if that wasn't enough, it also comes with a subscription-free AI detection system for pets, people, and vehicles. Its detection and notification system is excellent, and this camera has a local storage option. Install and setup were so easy, and I've been very impressed with the way the footage looks in both the day and in the evening. Plus, the way this camera tracks individuals and even vehicles as they go by our home is incredible. This latest camera and floodlight are truly a set and forget security option. And what's really crazy to me is that it's just $99. Check the links down below to pick up this new great camera from Tapo. On to something a little more fun. Google announced the new Google Home speaker. It basically looks like a rounded version of a Google Home Mini, and I'm sure there's lots of upgrades because it's $100 US. It'll be available sometime spring next year, and Google did list a nice set of countries that they will launch in when it comes out. I've also heard rumblings of a new smart display coming sometime next year, but that could just be the rumor mill kind of spinning up. I personally don't love the way the speaker looks. Has kind of a funny rounded look to it. I also don't imagine the sound quality is going to be truly top notch, even with Google saying, hey, it's balanced and it's 360 degrees. I am fairly excited that they have re-announced something that they announced years ago. They announced that you'll be able to stereo pair the new Google Home speaker with Google TV streamers. That was literally announced back when the Nest Audio came out, and I think even before then. You guys correct me in the comments. I'm sure there's about 100 reasons why it never came out. I don't care anymore, but it is a nice feature to hear is coming. They're kind of standing still when I compare this to Amazon giving us a 5.1 speaker option with their Fire TVs. Now, they did lots of great things with the speaker, including, the physical toggle for muting, still there. They always have neat colors. The light ring is on the bottom of the speaker, and I truly think a lot of people will like how it looks. But the ultimate test will be when we get it in our hands and we test it with and without a subscription. There is a new subscription called Google Home Premium. Google is calling it a whole home subscription that unlocks Gemini for home for everything. Initially, there's two tiers. $10 a month for asking Home for automation help in the Google Home app, 30 days of event video history, and intelligent camera alerts. It's $20 a month for all those features, plus AI event descriptions, home brief summaries, which is where you can ask like, hey, what's happened over the day, searchable video history, as well as 24/7 recording. You can go and just get those subscriptions and replace your Nest Aware subscription because that is now gone. Or you can go get something called Google AI Pro or Google AI Ultra. The Google Home Premium subscription is included in those, and those also include some other AI-based features. But I'm sitting over here with a subscription called Google One. Isn't that supposed to be everything Google? Anyways, I pay a ton per month for that subscription. I don't get YouTube Music, I don't get YouTube Premium, I don't get Google Home Premium, I don't get any of the other AI features, I don't get Google Workspace. Basically, I get storage, but it's the subscription for everything. I'm personally annoyed that this has been going on and wasn't corrected through this process. Let me get off my soapbox and let's just take a look at it at its core. At its core, this is Nest Aware. But in 2024, the cost of Nest Aware was $8 per month, or $15 per month if you wanted that 24/7 video recording. This offer includes a price increase, which I don't love. It was announced like it was an exciting thing, but it's kind of a forced increase. I'm not excited at all to pay more for AI, and it's a big commitment to say I'm going to spend $20 US a month for camera storage and for an AI voice assistant. I'm gonna go back to that comparison with Amazon. They've embedded it in Amazon Prime, and I think a lot of people are gonna look at that as something they can accept as an ongoing cost. It's not that the Amazon offer overall from a subscription standpoint is really that much better. But if you're just looking for an AI-based assistant, that's gonna feel more in line with a household budget. I think we'll also see new features continuously embedded in the subscription side as they come out, or at least most of them. I think this could be a bit of a runaway train, so we need to see, and I struggle to recommend that you guys jump into this. If you're an existing Nest Aware subscriber, I don't think the price increase is ridiculous. And I don't think that, from that Gemini standpoint, that it's a bad deal. But it is a fairly big commitment to keep spending that on a smart home when options like local storage exist for the price of a micro SD card. Google also released a pretty good update to the Google Home app. Navigation feels very snappy. I would say before this, Google had one of the best smart home apps anyways, but I feel like more of the work needed to happen on that integration side. So I could see my cameras from other companies or see the effects from my lights and use them in the app. And Google has been doing a little work on that. They have some new device types in the app. There has been progress there, but that's what I would have rather seen than a new navigation method. The new features with Gemini in the app are very good, and the home search bar is really nice for quickly typing something in that you want to find. Having it pop up and being able to control your home that fast, it's so good, and it makes me feel like I want to use the app. And the update essentially does get rid of the Nest app, because everything that Google has been trying to integrate from that old app is now in Google Home. And I know there will still be people who are frustrated. I showed the new automation editor in a previous video on the channel. I'll link that below so you can see the details there. But it's very good, but in pure Google style, it's not fully ready. So, things like this, we're gonna have to, again, temper our expectations. The app is part of the preview program, and you can still work in the older app for a bit. Probably the best part of the app is the fact that you can create an automation just by asking. And there are little prompts that give you ideas for what you can ask the new Gemini for Home. And those are fantastic features. I hope they continue to get better. But there are components of these things that require that subscription. And I started running into that as soon as I started using it. So from an overall standpoint, I am cautiously concerned. Google has shown some really good signs of life here in the smart home and in what they used to call the helpful home. Gemini is obviously going to be a big part of people's lives. And the truth is, I don't know how we will, over the long term, avoid a subscription if Google wants us to pay for one there. The question is more, do we need a separate subscription for our smart home to essentially converse with an AI that we can get on our phones? Obviously, video storage is something that should carry some kind of a cost with it, but hey, they didn't offer options for people to minimize the cost of these subscriptions. There's no local recording options. And I don't hear Google talking about how they're going to work with all these other companies. So I'm concerned that we have an ecosystem that is going to bury you in it and not really give you other options after you buy just a few products. I will absolutely be watching, okay? And I'll report on it and show you the changes that I see. If we get a chance to review their new products, we will have a look at them. I think I'm in a bit of a wait and see mode for myself. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. I know a lot of people are going to make a comparison versus Amazon here. Check out the video that's up on screen. It's my breakdown of some of the biggest secrets, the biggest things that they gave us when we were at that release event. You're going to hear lots of great stories there. Otherwise, thanks for watching today. And of course,